Alright, so we're starting Selenium WebDriver course. Um, so we pretty much finished with reviewing the Postman and its functions. We learned how to use public APIs. We have a lot of challenges with approving our accounts and providing all the necessary information for making requests. We also practiced with our school project, which was pretty straightforward. All the documentation was in place. We found a lot of bugs. I hope you guys will use the collection, which one of the students shared. There you can find already pre-scripted tests and all the coding required for our class. This is pretty much everything you should know about Postman in the real world, except the communication tools and teamwork tools. Like we didn't cover that, but it depends on the company you will work. Make the screen bigger. Screen, maybe you mean the window. Let's make it like this. Turn, turn, turn. I think this should be better, hopefully. How about now? Now it's better? Alright, cool. So, yeah, so one of the students shared the collection. You can use it. It's pretty much everything you need there in Postman. So we covered how to parse response, how to confirm if the value is presented. We learned how to save values in the environment, environmental variables, pretty much everything, check the status and so on. That's enough for starting point. That's how you will be comfortable with using this tool. Later in the company, you will see how the team using it and also ramp up really quickly to the project and start using it. Usually, there is no such a thing like a project for Postman. It's just your local manual tool that you can use for your testing just locally. So it's pretty much that. We covered basic stuff, so we want to continue with Selenium WebDriver and Java. So I already posted a couple of links from this list. I want you to have those links in your collection in order to use this documentation in further career, I would say. I don't know. It's everything you need to know pretty much about Java. There is something which is the third-party tools and third-party resources were like first one, pretty handy, easy to use with the interactive code windows, and you can run your code. I like this one. We will use the materials from here today because it's easy. That's why. And we will execute our code in our IDE. Links will be posted later. I will not spend time right now. And these links are in the slide, so when I will share the slide, you will have them. Also, the official Oracle documentation. Again, that's everything about Java here. For testing purposes, we will not use concepts like here. We're not gonna use Java for development. This is only for running our tests. So if we will cover basics, that's pretty much enough. If we will need to cover something more complicated, we will also cover it. But that's the source of truth here. That's Oracle official documentation for Java. The third one is also a third-party resource. I also found this pretty handy because you have a list here of all the things you need to know. You can simply search for the things you need to find, like strings. Boom, and you have strings here. Click on it, and you're like, okay, now I remember this, for example. Or you forgot something, you need the syntax. So it's a very like a notepad, like a note for Java, very handy. And the latest one, okay, the latest one I posted where you downloading GDK. So as I said for our today class and for this course, we will use Java 8. Some people have been confused what is 1.8 and why is 8. So you go into this page and you can see 10 is here, 8 is here. JDK we want the uh, developers kits, development kit, yes, JDK 8. And for Mac we downloading this one. For Windows depends on the CPU, we're downloading this one. I think nowadays everyone is 64. Linux here, and yes, that's the Oracle link for downloading if somebody haven't downloaded yet. We will use Maven. What is Maven? Well, let's go and find out. Maven is the tool which will help to manage your project and in the same time document it. So before, people was using their own documentation style, format, and so on, and only developer knows what's going on in the project. If he will try to explain to somebody, it's a very painful process. Explain what is going on with the project. So Maven will help with that, and you can build someone else's project in seconds without reading a lot of documentation. So Maven helps to build, for example. And in our case, we will use Maven for building and executing our. We know how to download Maven. We used install section to know how to install it and then run. And the command is pretty much simple. We need to first call Maven itself and then to call the name of the phase we want to execute. So verifies the phase of Maven. What is Maven phases? Maven images and this picture. Oh wait, I created here. That's a little bit simpler. So every time we say Maven compile, Maven test, it's a little bit blurry, guys, but it's because of the size of the image. Maybe it's also small here. Anyway, you can see it. Maven compile, Maven test, Maven install. Compile, test, and install are the phases, the life cycle phases of the Maven. So we're not gonna install anything and deploy. We only need to run our tests. So we will just let Maven know where our tests are, and we will say, okay, Maven, run our tests, and we will execute Maven test command. But it's just first overview. We don't have to write anything right now. It's just explanation how our stack will work. Also, we will have a POM file. We will cover this many times during the course because we will have to use dependencies. So we will use not only standard Java libraries, but also third-party libraries like Selenium, for example. And this is also where Maven helps. I created another slide here. Yes. So we know about Maven's central repository. So this is something which Maven helps to store for us without, we will not have to download it on our local station. So everything somewhere remote in the internet. So our project is here. And what if we already downloaded from central repository? So it stores to our local repo. And if it's there, we will just use it. If it's not there, we'll go to central, which is somewhere in the like internet, download it from there, and now we will have it in our local repository. So again, Maven is in our main dependency management tool. So if we need something for our project, like third-party library, we're not looking for that library ourselves, download in jar, put in that jar in our project, then we have to set the path for that. It's pretty simple. You just say, I need this, and Maven will get it for you. Another advantage of using Maven. Another more corporate level advantage is let's imagine you have like hundreds of stations and all of them need only one library. So instead of each station will download that library 100 times, the Maven will take care of it. It will just download it once, and then that library will become locally available, and all 100 stations will use only that one. So instead of separately using remote jar file. So that's the explanation. Talking about dependencies and POM file, which is here, it's called POM. And each phase lifecycle is going through POM because POM has to know what you want to do and what phase you want to do that. But for us, it's primarily is just dependencies. If we want to use JUnit, we just say dependency. Remember the XML file? So that's a XML file, actually, standard one. We have a node here, dependencies. And inside dependencies, we have 3 elements. So first element is one dependency, and we have to say what is the group ID, artifact ID, and version. You'll see a lot of this. If you will go, I will explain it later, but that's the standard dependency format. We have to say what and which version. So for example, in this example, in this case, we have a Selenium dependency. We have to say what is the group ID, artifact ID, and the version. If you want to upgrade or downgrade, it is simple as changing just one little parameter in your project, and all the project will use now change version. So it's also simplify that process if you want to upgrade or something. Central repository. So we're just typing Maven repository. That's it. Mavenrepository.com. Everything you need to you can find is here. There's also something to read about. All the dependencies are categorized. So if you need something you don't know yet how it's called, you can use categories. So command line parsers, build tools. For any kind of project, you can find anything you need. JSON libraries. We will probably need that later. So remember, we've been using JSON validator and formatter, and we've been extracting data from response using JavaScript. JavaScript doing that more natural way, but for Java, we need to use libraries. So this is where we can find them. For example, if you know exactly what you want, you can use search, and we want Selenium, for example. Boom, we have results. And what if we need Selenium Java? We have all kind of versions for Java Selenium. I will zoom in a little bit so you will see the numbers. And the latest update is from August, very new. You see, that's how it is easy to add it in your project. We will go through that many times. It's just another dependency that you're adding into your project, and now Selenium Java 3.14 will be in our project. Or you can still do it all the way, like download jar and so on. But why you need to do that if you have Maven? Also, you can see support of other dependency management tools and build tools. So Gradle is very popular. Android is using Gradle. So if you're running your test on Android, you can use Selenium library as well. Maven. Yeah, I will go through it again. later. What else? Also, Driver. So we will use Webdriver Selenium. Let's maybe start from Selenium Webdriver. Selenium Webdriver. And documentation. So this is the official documentation of WebDriver. Everything you need to know is here. Pretty much what will be interesting in this section. I will zoom in. Selenium WebDriver. Introducing, and again, as you can see, the same approach to add Selenium into your project is the Maven dependency. So you will see a lot of that if you will work with the third-party libraries. They actually giving you the example of the XML, so you don't have to type anything. You're just copying it and adding it into your project. Also, if there are any compatibility issues, they can be explained here. They're trying to update it with the recent issues. For example, the issue can be if there is a new version of Firefox and you need to support that in your tests, but Java Selenium doesn't support that browser yet. So that can be also listed here and the solution for that. Is Maven similar to Git? No. Similar to Git? No. Left part of your screen is not shared. Left part of my screen is not shared. Is that for everyone or just for one person? Hopefully you can see. Alright, Andrew said that for him is good. So Paulina, make sure you using the GoToWebinar right way or something. Maybe that's a GoToWebinar. But we're recording, don't worry, we will share that video. What else? So installing WebDriver, and there are some documentation here regarding the actual usage. It should to be here. What if introducing WebDriver? Also, you can see it's support for many programming language and examples of the code. We can use examples from here for today's class as well. Locating elements and so on. Actually, guys, will be interested how many of you already know how to locate elements on the page. I think it's the part of the Mikhail course. Just type in the chat if you're familiar with that. Locating an element. I think you use the WebDriver IDE and different tools for finding elements on the page. Just let me know what you already know. If no, you just can say no, I don't know anything about locating elements. Andrew, no. That's okay. Anyone else? Yes, no? No, no, no. Okay. That's awesome, because we will learn it here in this class. Maybe faster, maybe more interesting way, who knows. So, then we need to work through really basic stuff today then. We can start the project and we can experiment with the basics of Java. That will be, I guess, good for today. And somebody else, class say no, yeah. Pretty much that's what class said. So, do I want to And yeah, talking about why I actually started from Selenium WebDriver. So before it was working like this. You are adding the driver into a project and it was working fine, but a lot of browsers came up into the picture. So your test has to support many versions, different browsers. And as I said, the browser version came up earlier than the support for that browser in the WebDriver. So the problem is there, compatibility. And there was a solution for that. So we need to put some middleman between your test and the WebDriver. And that's another driver. So it sounds complicated, but it's as easy as to add another library in the project. So you can read the information about GigaDriver, what is that, why it's existing, and how to configure it, and so on. Usage. So as I said, it's just simply as to download that driver and provide the path to it. And you can configure it many ways. You can run it in standalone mode. Building contacts. Yes, so what we need to do is pretty much how to use it, usage, right? And system.property, blah, 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 and where we download that. Where to download is under releases, also link is here. So everyone has to do that. You can use Windows 64, Mac OS, Linux, and so on. Change logs. And we need to know is my browser is supported by GigaDriver. I'm using Firefox 56 and you know what's happened there. So that's the pain. It's not only to run your test. You want to run your test in multiple browsers, make sure everywhere it is working. Your product is working everywhere and your tests are working everywhere. And that can be the difference. The product is working, your tests are broken. And you need to fix them. And this is the solution. You can provide this in between your browser and your test, and that will help you to have support for multiple browsers and different versions. That's all for GigaDriver and IDE. So IDE I just downloaded. You guys all have it. It's simple. It's really convenient. Is Maven is similar to Git? No, it's not similar. Maven is doing one work, Git is doing completely different work. But our IDE supports everything, and this is great. We can use it everything from our IDE. So the less actions we will do somewhere outside IDE is better. So everything in one box. That's really convenient. And version control system, GitHub. We will use GitHub for our class because it's probably the one you will use at your work. That's why. If I will type something I want to find on the GitHub, I can also find a lot of repositories which can give me a clue how other guys solve my problem, for example. And I want to choose language here, and I can see that there's thousands of solutions. And you can type for some specific issue you are seeing, or some solutions for exercise, or some implementation you want to see how to implement it in Java, for example. So GitHub is awesome, and I will not go there, just give you an example. And we will try to build our courses while also using GitHub. The main idea will be to practice in using GitHub and to have a handy tool to check your homework as well. So if you have free time, you can already start to learn how to use basics of GitHub. that will be great. There are also interactive materials, interactive tools online, and that will be just easier for you to ramp up quickly. The idea of GitHub is to control the versions of the app. So we have one version, is 1.0, but I want to make some changes, so I'm cloning that version, making my changes. I want my changes being reviewed by somebody, and then my changes will be merged to the original version, and that's gonna be a next version. That's a very simple explanation why GitHub exists and how that different from Maven. Let's start to do something that will be easier to understand and practice as well. So we're starting our first project using IntelliJ. I'm clicking on create new project here, and I want to select Maven, and I want to allow access to network. No SDK. It's probably because I'm under different user. Alright guys, give me 5 minutes, I will fix that, because I'm under different user, and I will go back to the class. So 5 minutes break, guys. Okay, that was simple. You can actually configure it from different user as well. So we have to specify the Maven that we selected from here from the left list, and we need to select SDK for our project. You simply providing the path to it, so I click new and provided the path to it. We're not selecting anything here. And can you see the text clear, guys? Or maybe I need to change something, because that's going to be important. Yeah, so you have to, let me show it. Somebody also have the SDK problem. So you just need to specify the path here, clicking on new. You're clicking on your folders and you go deeper into your tree where you downloaded your JDK. So I think if you already set the Java home environment, then you have it on your local drive. So here you just simply need to find it and specify the path to it here. So it's going to be path. Type in the chat, guys, if you were able to select your SDK. Yes or no. Andrew, we're looking for folder, not file. Folder, just folder. Yeah. Andrew, good. Svetlana, I don't know what to do. I will try to change it later, maybe. Maybe you can set something for your screen or something. It will be easier later when we will actually type the code. So we need to specify the folder, not the file, guys. Just the folder to the JDK, which is what to do with the path. I have different version. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Version is okay. Margarita, once again, you have to specify the folder. So you go in here, you're clicking on your program files or whatever where you download it, and then you're clicking on the folder with JDK. So here it has to be reflected as a path. So if I put like program files, it's changing to program files. If I will click on that folder, it will be that folder. And then you're clicking OK. And the IDE will give you a suggestion if you're doing something wrong. It will say, no, it's not the JDK folder. If it's JDK folder, then it's yes. Who else is done? I know Andrew done. Margarita, are you done? Thanks means done. Okay, great. Dmitry, done. Should I wait or you guys all done? But you cannot wait for me. Svetlana, I got it. It's a Mac user, I guess. No? Yeah, Windows. Okay. Alright, no worries. If you will have a video, you can slowly do it at home. It should be straightforward, guys. No issues. You downloaded GDK, you specify the path to that folder. That's it. And we selected Maven. Okay, next. This is the Maven concepts, group ID, artifact ID. Basically is when we're talking about the corporate level project. So for us, it doesn't really matter what we'll specify here. And but I recommend to give something meaningful in order to later, when you will create repositories on Git, I will actually see what is there. So let's call it start node group. Doesn't really matter, but just in case. And artifact is Webdriver Java and 2018, for example. That's it. 3 labels that we're giving to our project. Click on next. So project name is referred to the artifact name, and location also automatically created, so we don't have to change anything. Clicking finish. Alright, first is we need to unmark this checkbox and say don't show me this anymore. And I saw that Windows security asking me to give an access to Java. I'll allow that access. Yep. This will be important when the Maven will start to download. As you can see, downloading plugins. Let me zoom. How to make it bigger? Question. Probably like that. Okay, I remember. Where is that? Settings and settings and should be like that. Yeah, it's a little bit ugly. Not even a little bit. Let's return back. Or UI. Trying to make it zoom, maybe 14. Stop and start. How about now? I just restarted the sharing. Sounds good. Okay. So after creating the project, guys, hope you can see we have a browser, the project browser here. So we will have folders and external libraries which are used for the project. If I will click on the name, we have to see that idea, so invisible folder and source folder. Also POM file, remember we've been talking about that, and YAML file also, which can be used for configuration and so on. But basically we will start from pom.xml. Let me know, guys, if you can see it in your project as well. Yeah. You haven't missed Margarita. It was just simply next button. That's it. It's automatically created. You didn't miss it. It has to be just next, and that's it. With group ID. Yeah, group ID can. Okay, because the screen was frozen. Okay, and let's delete it and start again, guys. So create new project, selecting Maven, selecting SDK, next, group ID, my group ID, artifact. You can name it different, it doesn't really have to be like that. Webdriver Java 2018 and something like testng, right? Testng, that will be better. And you just simply click in next here, project name is going from Artifactory, then location is automatically creating. We don't change it. We can change it, but we don't want to. And click finish. That's it. That's what I got from my previous actions. So paste in the chat if you are able to do that. Yes, no. I think it should be only yes. There is no no. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's what I want. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Intelligent. Yes, Andrew, yes. Svetlana, no. Svetlana, no worries. No worries. We'll do that. And guys, anyone else finished with project creation? Dmitry, great. If no, that you are able to explain why it's no, or what is the error, maybe we can quickly fix it. Guys, should we move forward, or are you still doing it? Margarita, thank you. Yeah, oh, got it. Svetlana, got it. Andrew, you done, right? Alright. Dmitry done, Margarita done. What about Alena Petrova? Alena, you are the only attendee which not pasting anything. If you cannot paste in a GoToWebinar chat, you can type in the Skype. One time is fine. Okay, that is fine. I guess we can move forward. So, another thing. So, Maven project created, it's empty, nothing is there yet. But still, you can see already some structure and POM file and external libraries. And Maven asked us to import changes. That means when the IDE was using Maven for project, Maven create something and now asking to import everything that been made by IDE by Maven. And we click on yes, import changes. So now nothing, no progress bar, no nothing, then that's fine, we can go ahead. So this is our POM file, it's pretty empty now, but we, for example, we're gonna talk about that later, probably, but very soon. So POM file is here. I'm going to go to source folder. We gonna create tests, and under Java we can create another Java class. I clicked right button on Java folder and menu new and Java class. So there's a menu. Well, there's the name of new class. I will call it test001, for example. And kind is class. Click OK. This is our first Java class. It has nothing but definition of it and the name and braces. Also, after I create it, I can click on the Java folder and I can see that the class is created. You can see the circle and C letter inside that circle. So now we can move further. And one more time. If I close that window without importing, probably fine, you can import it later. Really quick. Entry. Right click on the folder, new Java class. Let's move further. So we can make next step different ways, but gonna do that step with the usage of IDE, and hopefully IDE, the community version, will help me with that. So inside my class, I want to create a test. And the way we're gonna create tests in our framework, in our project, is we will use TestNG as the test management framework, which will mark down the methods we will create by the annotations. And we will talk about annotations later many times. What is TestNG annotations, blah, blah, blah. What is the difference between JUnit annotations and TestNG annotations. But annotations start with add symbol and test. Now it is red, right? I will zoom in. Let's try one more time. Test. And it's red, and IDE is giving me suggestion what to do with that. Why you have something I don't know about. And I'm okay. What you can recommend me. And IDE says that I can add TestNG into your class path or JUnit. What do we want? And I'm like, no, I want a TestNG. So something happens, some magic happens. You were able to see some progress bars, and you can see that import line have been created. What if I will go to my POM XML file and check what happens? Oh, I can see dependencies now, right? And that's my XML have been changed by IDE. It's automatically check my POM file, check if the dependency is there. If it's not there, it's automatically added for me. So now I have main node dependencies. I just collapse it. Now I can click on the plus sign. Now I can see what dependencies are there. Now I have only one. And as you remember, every dependency has to have group ID, artifact ID, version, and scope. Some fields are mandatory, some are not. But I can say, okay, thank you ID, but I want to check if I will use this version. Maybe I want something else. And I'm going to test in G. I will go to test in G. Official documentation. And because I make a spell, now I can go there. Alright, download. And here we go. If I will go to download section of the framework I want to use, of the library I want to use, it's also giving me the Maven dependency. It says you can add that repositories and dependency, and I can think, okay, testng want me to use some other repository. What if I will go to Maven repository and ask for testng there? And here we go, it's here. I'm going there, and I can see that central repository has this much versions of testng, but I want to include maybe the latest one, and I'm checking the official documentation that says 6.10. Going back to Maven, it's even newer here in Maven than in official, so why I have to go with that one? But unless we have some requirements for our project, maybe you're already working. Non-dependency was added. Margarita, it's okay, we will add it manually, but it's okay. So maybe you already will work in the project, or will already testng has been used and they're using 6.10. Nobody want to break anything, and you're like, okay, then 6.10. Unless you really want to use some advantage of the very new version. So instead of ID, I will use this dependency and pasting this in the chat. Margarita is definitely for you because you haven't been, the ID didn't help you. So you will copy this dependency node, XML node, copy, and you can substitute the dependency being created by your ID. You see what happened? Now it is red because our local repository doesn't have that dependency. Remember that. Remember the schema. Going back to the slide. Remember, every time we adding something, it's asking, do you have this local repository, local Maven? No, we don't have it. So it's red, and now Maven is asking you, do you want to import that changes? And when we click import changes, then this version will be downloaded very quickly. Boom, boom, boom. And now it's not red. We resolved the dependency in seconds. We're not gonna go manually download these jars and put them in the folders and provide paths and blah blah blah. We just click here, import. We want that version. If I want to change it to 14, it will be as simple as change this number. That's the advantage of using Maven. And IntelliJ. Returning back to the test, now it's saying only that annotations are not allowed here. So read carefully the suggestion that IDE gives you. That will be the key to resolve the problems. Of course, it's not allowed here because we didn't create the method first. we will type. So first we want to create some method which will be using that annotation test. So I'm creating method 001 test, and this is the syntax of Java. We're not gonna spend a lot of time on each symbol here. You just need to really practice with that, and you'll be very fluent in that. So once we created empty method, which is this piece of code, and we use annotation test, now IDE knows that I can run it, and it has a triangle here like a play button. And if I will hold over it, it has run test. But test is empty. Let's run the empty test. And I have some changes. Maybe I want to import. It's probably from the previous edit. It doesn't matter. So let's run. I'm clicking on this triangle like a play button. Run test. And you can see the name of the method, which I just gave it to that, and you can debug it as well. But we're gonna run it only. So it's build happening here. There was some warnings, and now in this window we have a result of our test. So it's simply a list. You can see that what is the suite of tests, what is the name of the artifact here. This is the name of it, test, and this is the name of the method we gave. We will go through it many times, so don't worry about that. It's just overview. Alright, we created our first test and we already run it. Now we want to type some Java code. Going back to slide with the Java, and as I said, it's pretty handy here. All kind of simple basics that we want to learn from Java is here. So let's go to Hello World. In this material, they're using main class and simple Java runner to run those code. We will use test-ng and we will understand both at the same time. I got lost. Margarita, don't worry. The video is there. I can help you later. Just follow what we doing in general, not stopping in details. So let's create first Hello World. As I said, we need to understand the basics of Java. So what is class, what is method, and what is this string printing method as well. Print line. I will copy only one command from this documentation, paste it over here. Let's make it more beautiful. So the commands in the method will be with the tab here, not under the method name. And that's it. Run the test. Alright, so I can see the output of the whole suite, but I want to see what's happened only with this test. So I'm clicking on the test name, and I can see that was the output. So we actually print out the message into the standard output, and we can see it in our test results. Great. What if we will create another test? So again, there are many ways to do that. I will try to generate test method. I just clicked 2 times, guys, and the test generated. I will show it again. Right click on the kind of free line, like the empty line. Right click, generate test method. Boom. 003. And as you can see, it has like a red square here. This means it's still waiting for you to submit your changes of the name. So you have to click enter. Now it's actually named as you want it. We have three test methods. Let's go back to documentation. And so we know how to print out messages into console, into standard output. We want to go back and learn variables and types. So in Java, all the variables has different types. So do we want to cover everything? That's what I'm thinking about. All right, let's do something, for example. Again, the reference is the Oracle documentation. You can read in real details about each data type. Learning, getting started, not getting started. Language basics, variables, operators, and so on. But this is why I gave you the interactive way to learn that, because basics is easier to learn in an interactive way instead of reading all the materials. So integer, that's commonly used for any kind of digits we want to use in our code. Let's create some digits. How you're gonna do your homework. So you have the piece of code you wanna practice with. Let's say I wanna practice with integers. I'm copying that. I'm pasting. So first, you didn't make any typos, so you can continue to learn without fixing it. And then you can, as more as you working with it. So let's say we forgot this symbol. The IDE gives you like a highlighted area where it's expected something, and it says, yeah, you forgot about this. And if you click on the lamp, it will not fix it for you. So you have to do this. I was expecting sometimes fixing the syntax errors. So in this case, if you see something red marked or highlighted or something, that actually require your attention. This is where you want to fix something. How to find run submenu. Run submenu. This should be there as long as you added the testng library and it's knowing your annotations and import is created. Don't worry about that, you will still use video, you will ramp up with that. Now, what if, so we created, okay, let's continue with the second test with variables. Yeah, good question. Why it's all different colors? That's awesome question because IDE helps you to recognize one type of data, type of symbols from another. So in this case, it gives you easier way to read your code, especially if you know there are some errors that multicolor highlighting is helping you to read the code basically. That's why. So what if, so I can see there's something highlighted here. Variable my number is assigned but never accessed. All right, so it's been assigned. We assign it here. So we created a variable name my number, the integer type. So we're saying what type first or what class it belongs to, and then what is the name of the variable, and then we're assigning the value 5 to that variable. Now we can reuse that variable simply as another shortcut. So instead of typing this system out print line and then the thing we want to print out, we can simply type SOUT and click on the tab button, tabulation, tab, and IDE automatically using this shortcut to create the code for you, so you don't have to type it or copy and paste. And I want to print out my number variable. So once I typed a letter M, IDE suggesting what variables I want to use here in this method. And I can see that this is my number variable I just created, integer type. And it has circle and v inside it. This variable. Clicking on it. Now you see once I put it in here, my ID doesn't complain anymore. It said, okay, so you created variable, you assigned it, and you accessed it. So you actually use the value of this variable. So you doing good. IDE checking your work every time. It doesn't allow you to make any stupid things. I want to run the test, and I'm expecting in the test number 002. Oh, we created the, okay, that's a little bit confusing here. But it's good that we make that thing. We named the class a very similar name as our methods. I don't have run option. Andrew. That's okay, we will fix it later. Maybe I don't know yet how to fix it. It should be there. Yeah, so we name the class name and the method name a similar way. So we have the class name here and the method name here. The command inside the test002 was to just print out the number, which is variable my number. And as you can see, number 5 is here. Maybe this is how you will see it. And test works. We did everything well. We're going back to documentation. And instead of integer, we also can use double if we have a value with the decimal part of it, for example. So it's not integer type, and sometimes we need this kind of values for our tests as well. So we're probably also going to use that. Difference between the data types you can read on Oracle, and later on you can simply understand why, for example, double needed instead of integer. Also, characters, very important. Let's use that one. In Java, a character is its own type, and it's not simply a number, so it's not common to put the ASCII value in it. There is a special syntax for characters, right? So I will explain it. So again, highlighted is never used. What is the difference between this line and these two lines? In this case, we created an assigned variable in one line, but sometimes you can do it in two lines. Like how to do this in two lines. This is how it would look like, similar to this one. But in Java, you can do it in the same way, in the same line. And again, SOUT tab C. We're expecting that G will be printed from the test. G is there. Let's continue, move on. Strings. Also Java concept called constructor. Running the constructor, you starting with word new. So if it's new and name of the class, you want to initiate the constructor. We will use it a couple of times in our framework, so don't worry about that. So simply the sequence of characters or a message is a string, also a primitive type of data. Let's copy it, going back, red button, generate test method 004. paste it, we created a string. The strings are commonly used across multiple things. When we're parsing something, when we're extracting some data from the elements, some error messages, we want to create a string. String is the sequence of characters. Instead of one character, it's a sequence of characters. What if I will create another string? Okay, let's create it manually without copy pasting. So starting with S, the IDE already gave me a suggestion that probably you want to create a string, right? Yeah, I want to create a string. S3 or S4 equal. Now I'm assigning a value to that variable S3. Let's start with a space and string 2. I don't know, that's my string 2. And what I want to print out is SOUT tab S2 plus double quote space plus S3. So I'm expecting that first thing will be printed, then this space, then this message. So I'm using both the variable values and the actual string. So I'm combining 3 strings into one, and it will become my final message that I'm going to print out in the console. Running the test. Click, click. And first string, spaces that we created here, and the message from string 2. That's a very basics, very standard operations. So that's actually was from the example. And we kind of use that similar thing in the Postman, but in JavaScript. Remember when we were generating the suggestions? So the part of the message was predefined string, like here in double quotes, but some of the values being actually the values of the variables. So this is why every time you're running that method, it's just using values from variables, so the message is always different. Also Boolean type. The Boolean can only hold 2 values, true or false. It also will be used a lot. Let's copy the whole thing here. Go back. It's a good to maybe type it manually. Public void. So every time I'm starting to type, the IDE gives me a suggestion, so I don't have to type the whole thing. So if I'm starting T, it gives me test, right? And I'm clicking on the button tab on the keyboard. And then public, yes, tab, v, void, yes, tab, test 005, all the syntax thing from Java. And then I'm pasting the thing from the documentation. So I created variable b, type of boolean, assigned the value false. Variable b initializer false is redundant. Because we assign it here, so IDE gives you the suggestion. You just created variable and assign the value, and then you give it another value. What are you doing this if you're not using this value? And we pretty much can agree with IDE. The value true assigned to b is never used. Do you think so? Yes. So again, IDE see the logic. So let's go through the code first, okay, and then I will hold for IDE suggestions. So we create a variable b. We assign the value to the b, which is true. So now b is true. Then we created another variable 2b, which is false. And if you will also learn the syntax of the Java, that means or. And that's actually a good example. So the famous phrase to be or not to be actually written here in the Java code. So b equals to be or exclamation mark before Boolean variable means we want to have the opposite of the opposite value of that variable. So going back to value of the to be, which is false now, but the exclamation mark will turn it into true. But this is the famous phrase to be or not to be. The exclamation marks means not or opposite value of the Boolean variable. And now we have an if statement that's also will be covered later. If statement is when we want to put some logic, some optional behavior in our test or code. So we only want to execute this piece of code to print out to be value only if b is equal true. But in Java there are some shortcuts, so if you will say this, maybe IDE will actually suggest no. Alright, what I'm trying to say is if you can type it like this, so you will print out this message only if b equals true. It's checking if equal, the double equal sign, to true. But if you want to shortcut, this is exactly the same meaning. Only if b is true, execute this one. So let's logically think. That I think IDE actually said that. So condition B is always true, then it will never be false. That means this will be printed actually. And to B equals false, then we will expect to print out false value. So this is our expectation. This is how we went through the code with our understanding of Java, with our understanding of Boolean variables, make some expectations, and now we want to compare expected behavior of our code with the actual one. Clicking on the test, and I've been saying that it's gonna be false, and it is false. So to be equals to false. Let's try to change the code and see if our changes will affect something. So what if I will say, let's practice with the exclamation mark. Remember, I said that exclamation mark is actually not or opposite value of, in this case, to be, in this case is b. B is true here, or actually b assigned here to one of the values. So it's either true or either false. It will still be always true because we use the operator or. It's a logical operator of Java. You guys, you have to maybe walk through that of the class, and if you have any challenges with this one. So I'm expecting here that b will be always true, but I put the exclamation mark, then it's false. So I'm expecting that this will be never be printed. So that should not be in the console right now. Starting the test. The console is clean, nothing is printed. That's a logical operators. This is Boolean variables. So test 005 is all about this. Maybe sometimes we'll use them. Boolean variables, but not maybe. I'm sure we will use it. This is the exercise from this resource. You definitely want to do this at your homework. First of all, you will fix the environment you're working in, and then you will go over all the primitive types of Java. We have about 20 minutes left. I think that's pretty much it. Conditionals. So I've been talking about if statement, if else, and I think it's gonna be used a lot in our code. You definitely want to know how to write if statement, and let's practice with something. Maybe I will copy this. Yeah, let's do this. generate test method 006. I forgot to click enter to approve my changes, so now the red square removed. Paste the code. So I just simply pasted. I don't know what I pasted. I don't know where I pasted from. Something happened, something red lighted. Cannot resolve symbol A. I need to resolve it, so my Java doesn't know what is A. And I said A is integer. And it's equal to 1. Alright. And B is red. Cannot resolve symbol B. What if I will click on it and I will see the red lamp? Click on the lamp. And it's giving me a lot of suggestions. Create local variable B. Create field B. Create parameter B. Rename reference. I want to create local variable B. And it's already give you a suggestion. You probably, well, if you're comparing A with B and A is integer, then this B is probably also integer. You're not gonna compare integer with something weird or not weird or just different. I clicked on the integer and IDE automatically helped me with creating variable B. What I will do is just I will assign the value. So that's why this exercise is good. In first case, A and B will be both equal to 1. In this case, the first condition will be satisfied. Only if A equal to B, this message will be printed. Let's see if it works. And another line. Wow. Right? Is it matches? It is matches. But else doesn't print it because else is only when this condition is not satisfied. So if my B will be 2, then the second statement will be print out. Double rainbow. Very simple. Very straightforward, but you want to practice with it, you want to play with it, with play buttons, with values, with different if else statements, and hopefully you can cover everything from this list. Later on, we're not gonna stop on the Java basics and not gonna stop on Java syntax. I will expect from you that you will go through it, at least cover all the basics from here. Will be pretty fluent with every concept covered here. That's my expectations, and especially if you will try to apply for automation job, you definitely want to be capable to solve code challenges and algorithms and so on. So if we're gonna stop on just basics, it will take a lot of time. We will learn only simply just learn Java without going deeper into automation. So the purpose of this class was to create the project, learn how to add dependencies, how the dependencies works, to get familiar with the IDE environment and so on, use the power of IDE, and that's it. Later we will continue to add more dependencies which will be required for automation work, to interact with the browsers and so on. Other libraries will need to. That's it, guys. I'm stopping.